Hey, what's up, everybody? You know, um, I did a video a long time ago, not that long ago, on the difference between the animation here in Japan. I mean, not here in Japan, but the difference between animation in Japan and here in the States. And, it's kind of hard to believe that the difference between animation in Japan and here in the States hasn't been just going on for the past 20 something years or 30, 20 to 30 years. No, it's actually the difference between animation in Japan and here in the States. Like I said, hasn't been going on for like the past 20, 25 to 30 years. No, it's actually been going on for the past 40 plus years, if not more so. Um, I mean, if you, I mean, there's a, if, I mean, if you watch a documentary slash special called Anime Drawing a Revolution, it even shows you how long and how far and how much of a difference animation is between Japan and here. Because they said because one of the things they did note about that I even talked about was the fact that there's a particular content, there's one particular content in their animation that if it was shown here in animation, that if it was put into animation here in the States, that content will require the animation that it's in to receive a strong rating. And I'm not talking a strong 5-star rating and all that. No, I'm talking about a strong Motion Picture Association of America rating. That's what I'm talking about. Excuse me for a second. I'll be right back. Sorry about that interruption. I had to let the cat back into the garage. Um, but anyway, like I said, the content that is commonplace in the animation of Japan, or anime as they call it, um, like I said, if it was shown in animation here in the States, whether it was a movie or a television show or whatever, that content would require that movie that it's in, that animated film or animated series that it's in, to get a very strong rating. And like I said, I'm not talking about a 5 to 10-star rating. No, I'm talking about a Motion Picture Association of America rating that doesn't really get given out that much unless a movie that's going to go nationwide or a series that's going to go nationwide, has that kind of content in there. Excuse me. But like I said, and I'm sorry for the cough, I'm getting over a cough here. But like I said, if in Japan that kind of content, and you can even listen to what they say, like I said, they say the exact same thing on this anime drawing a revolution documentary, that kind of content in Japan is commonplace. It's like it's no big deal. Unlike here in the States, where, like I said, if it was in an animated production or animated film or series, that film or series would require a very strong rating from the Motion Picture Association of America. And excuse me. And what I'm talking about by strong rating, I'm talking about either R, which apparently is becoming common with these kind of things, or a rating that hasn't been given out that much but very rarely, and that's NC-17. That's, like I said, the NC-17, that rating, which has not been given, which is given out very rarely to a film, unless, like I said, the film, live action or animated, has content in there that is not appropriate for anybody unless you're an adult or something like that. So, but like I said, in Japan, that kind of content in their animation, in their live action as well, is commonplace. And like I said, this has been going on for more than 25 to 30 years. It's going on for 40 plus years. For example, there's two animes that I've read up on in the past few years that kind of sparked my interest. And the animes I'm talking about, one is called 1001 Nights. It was released in 1969, and the other is known as the Bandar Book. The Bandar Book, I should say. Now, 1001 Nights is, I can't pronounce the guy's name, but he's known as, I guess he's known as the Walt Disney of Japanese animation and manga. And he curated this movie, I guess you could say, and this movie is more of his version, or his adult animation version, or take, I should say, on 1001 Nights, the Arabian Nights. And excuse me. And I'll tell you, it definitely lives up to being one of his adult films that, like I said, if it was shown here in the States, it'd probably get an NC-17 rating. Well, would get an NC-17 rating. What am I talking about? But anyway, and the other one that I talked about, which was the Bandar Book, would probably get mostly an R rating, maybe a PG-13 rating, at least, but mostly an R rating. The reason I say this is because both animated films have, from what I read and from what people have said online at sites like Anime News Network, Anime Vice, and even Wikipedia, and even the Internet Movie Database, the IMDb, is that there is some nudity and sexual situations in the films. Well, the sexual situations, from what I read, are more so in the 1001 Nights, not so much in Bandar Book. But the one thing I did find out, that Japanese animators and people like this guy, who, like I said, is being dubbed as the Walt Disney of Japanese animation. They even say it, and they even talk about the guy in the Anime Drawing Revolution documentary. That the one thing I noticed about this guy is when he does these kind of stories, he likes to use a uniqueness. He likes to put a uniqueness into his characters that, I guess, at the time in the 60s and 70s, with animation here in the States, never was really seen, unless you probably saw Fritz the Cat or something like that. I don't know. But the one thing that he used, and I guess he wanted to keep it up to date and keep it modernized and all that, was the fact that he would. Well, the thing is about his films, first of all, was, like I said, I guess he looked at, if they were going to be released here in the States, how, back in those times, the late 60s and the 60s and the 70s, how everything was so tripped out and everybody was all trippy and all that here in the States, during what I guess was known as the Flower Power era. So, to me, I guess he felt that if these movies were seen here in the States, and I think they probably were, I'm not really sure, I have to read up on it again, that people back then would embrace them. I guess I don't know, because there were some things that I read about this that I read about these films that really would make them sound like they would be perfect for a perfect fit for the 60s and 70s eras, because they were so trippy. And one excuse me, one of the things about both these films was the fact that, like I said, the uniqueness that he would give his characters, or certain characters in the film, were abilities that nowadays, if you watch even kids animation, it's commonplace almost for a hero or a villain to have this kind of ability, even if it's for one episode only, or if it's on a permanent basis. And what I'm talking about, like for example, with 1001 Nights, is shape shifting. I mean, that's the common thing here on both films. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. About an hour into the film, we meet these two aliens. I'm not joking. We have a red female alien and a green male alien, and they're riding on this flying carpet, and they have the ability, from what I read, and I've read this all online on the sites that I mentioned: Anime News Network, Anime Vice, IMWB, and a few others. From what I read, you meet these characters, like I said, almost about an hour into the film, and you see that they have these abilities to change shape into any creature they want. For example, the main focus out of these two characters is the female. And the reason she's the main focus out of these two characters is because she starts to develop, I guess, a crush on what seems to be like the Aladdin character of the film. The young boy character, young man character, whatever. She starts to develop these feelings for him, to the point that what I read online, she changes herself into just about any kind of animal necessary. I mean, first of all, she turns herself into a spider. Okay, well, actually, the first thing she turns herself into, because somebody talked about this on one of the sites, is she and this alien, this other alien, this male alien, turn themselves into what look like cockroaches or bed bugs, and they have the carpet, from what I read, roll up on them, and they just fly off towards the moon. I don't know. Anyway, the other stuff that I've read, not on all the other sites, is that she turns into all these different animals. The first one she turns into after that is a spider. Then the second thing she turns into is a horse. Then the next thing is a lioness. Excuse me. And the third thing is a whatever. Or the fourth thing's a, and the third thing, or the fourth thing she turns into is a whatever. But anyway, from what I read, she turns into all these different creatures, just so she can help this, I guess, the Aladdin character out a lot, because she has these feelings for him. And this other alien, like I said, that's around her, this male alien, from what I read, is trying to make her realize, hey, no matter what you do, he's not going to be in love with you. He's not going to fall in love with you, and we're only here to help him. So that's what I read there. And again, this 1001 Nights, which again, this Walt Disney person of Japanese animation, like I said, can't pronounce his name. When he created this and made this more of an adult version of 1001 Nights, the Arabian Nights, you definitely see that he put adult situations in it. You can see that in some scenes from what I've read. So again, that kind of content in their animation has been commonplace for not just 25 to 30 years. It's been commonplace for many years. For example, the other movie like I was talking about, which was the Bandar book, or the Bandar book. Excuse me.